Well, hey everybody. Welcome back. I am Dr. Lauren Pitts Bounds, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. And this is Dr. Pitts Tips Live. And what's the whole idea? Why am I doing this? Actually, it wasn't my idea. Let me just go ahead and put that disclaimer out there now. It was my social media manager's idea, and her rationale for it, which I actually thought was a decent rationale, is she said, Dr. Pitts, there are so many people who need to be working with a therapist or who could definitely benefit from working with a therapist, but for a variety of reasons, a lot of which is stigma associated with behavioral, mental, and relationship health. She said, you know what? They won't go. She says, so why don't we bring therapy to them? So we decided, you know what? Once a week on Thursdays from 7 to 7:30 ish, we're going to bring you Dr. Pitt's Tips Lives. And you all have the opportunity to inbox me or DM me or email me through my website, to present me with any questions that you may have. And I'll do my level best to try to answer them from a clinical perspective. And here's the thing. Um, in this work, as I'm sure you can imagine, there are a lot of behavioral and relationship themes and patterns that come up in my work day after day and week after week. And I pay attention. All right. It's part of my job. I pay attention. And I said, well, you know what? Let me see if speaking to these topics, these themes on a public scale would be instrumental in helping people to navigate their life and their relationships in a much healthier way. So I hope that as I come on and do these lives each week, that if something that I'm saying, if some information that I'm offering you is helpful, let me know. Let us know. We want to know that we're making a difference. We want to know that you are actually able to live healthier, more fulfilling lives because of the work that we're doing, this work that I'm so passionate about. So, what I want to talk to you about tonight, I really want to provoke your thoughts around this. So, I am going to ask you some thought provoking questions. Is your mindset limited? And I think that that is such a powerful question because in every aspect of our lives, we are presented with a wealth of opportunities to react, right? And how we react, how we respond to the curveballs that life throws us in our relationships, at work, in our family, in our community. There's so many different ways that we can react. And what's so concerning about that word reaction is that how we react can end up debilitating us. It can end up causing more harm, to ourselves and to our relationships and to our situations and circumstances. So I think that it's really important for folks to really understand this connection between your thought life and your behavior. I like to explain it this way. Your thoughts and feelings are the remote control that determines the vibrational frequency, if you will, that the emotional part of your brain is functioning on. And what I mean by that is, think about it this way. If you walk into a room and you're actually in a good mood, you've had a great day at work, everything is cool, the school didn't call you about your kids acting crazy, everything is good, and you walk in and somebody in the house is in a foul, just stank, drag nasty mood. How long does it take before you surrender your power to that environment and you become stank too? Mm-hmm. So this is what I want to ask you. Do you know anybody in your life, and don't count yourself yet, don't count yourself. Do you know anybody in your life who is affected by toxic thoughts on a regular basis? Hey, Kari. It could be the person that gets sick all the time, or the person who's constantly whining, moaning, groaning, and complaining about everything that's wrong in their life. It could be the person who is consistently negative about any and every single solitary thing. It's like you hate to see your phone ring and they're on the other end of it because they are so negative in everything that comes out of their mouth and how they express their thoughts, that just interacting with them makes you cringe. I want you to get that person or those people in your mind's eye. And this is what I want you to think about doing. I'm challenging you. It's a call of action tonight. I'm challenging you to process this way. With this understanding, there are times that we can relate the symptoms that people are experiencing in their relationships and in their body and in every aspect of their life to their thought life, to what they've been thinking. So I want you to get at least three people in your mind, because I know you know way more than three people that are toxic thinkers. But just for the sake of the exercise, I want you to get three people in mind whose results in life are affected by their negative thinking. And then I challenge you. I'm going to go back to when I was a kid. I double dog dare you to reflect upon how their negative thinking is impacting others around them, including you. And then I want you to ask yourself, have you ever noticed yourself being affected by toxic thoughts? And a lot of people's response to that question is a resounding yes. Is it possible that the company that you keep is making it easier for you to have toxic thoughts? I was just saying to a client that I was in session with before I joined tonight, and I said, it sounds to me like you need to change your circle of influence. It sounds to me like you, and I said respectfully, I did put disclaimer to, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I said, it sounds to me like you've spent a lifetime hanging out with turkeys and chickens and you need to be soaring with the eagles. But people are afraid. And I began to explain to the client how we all have a comfort zone. We all have our familiar place, if you will. But the outer wall of our uncomfortable comfort zone is fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of people judging you or criticizing you or misunderstanding you or not understanding you at all. People become so comfortable with the familiar, even though there's a lot about familiar that's not comfortable, that they stay there. And they stay there to a fault. In other words, they end up being hindered. They end up being stifled. They end up being inhibited by the discomfort of their supposedly comfortable comfort zone. So you have to ask yourself, what will it take for you to change your toxic thinking? What steps can you or anybody else take that can be instrumental in helping you to come out of that place and space and that habitual behavior of toxic thinking? One of the biggest ones that I love to capitalize on is gratitude. You know how hard it is to be chronically negative when you're being deliberate and intentional in focusing on what's right in your life? The good, the beautiful. How about this? The fact that you have life. The fact that even though you have challenges and struggles in life, you're of sound mind, or at least close to it. You may have some ailments, but you're still walking and talking, and you still have a job to go to, and your children are healthy, and you still have a roof over your head, and reliable transportation to get where you want to get, and you still go on vacation from time to time. You have people who love you and care about you, and you had turkey stuffing and dressing and all the fixings for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you were able to hang out with family and friends for New Year's and play games and do all these wonderful things. Where's the gratitude? Gratitude is such an integral part of our ability to combat and overcome toxic thinking. What about forgiveness? What about, instead of dwelling on everything that's happened to you, who did you wrong, who said this, who frustrated you and had you so mad you was about to lay hands on folks and all of these things? What about forgiveness? What about waking up tomorrow and deciding, you know what, Dr. Pitts, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to make a conscious decision to not be the victim another day. This is not excusing the things that have happened to you. This is not making light of your trauma. This is not making light of the fact that people have wronged you or treated you unfairly or whatever the case may be. It is in no way, shape, form, or fashion dismissing any adversity that you have ever encountered in your life. But what it is doing, it is teaching you how to take your power back through adopting forgiveness as a daily practice. What about positive affirmations? What about this? And I'll share with you a couple because I'm real transparent and what have you. So right here sitting on my desk, because I'm a human therapist, so I have rough days sometimes too, and I need to remind myself that, as my grandmother used to say, trouble don't last always. She used to, one of her favorite scriptures was, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And yes, at midnight, it's still dark outside, but it's still morning. When midnight strikes, it's 12:01 a.m. So it's morning, but it's still dark. But if you could just remember that it's morning, if you could be deliberate and intentional and looking for what I like to call the seed of equivalent benefit in some of the adversities, all of the adversities that you're encountering in your life, how much more positive and productive might your thoughts be? You might need to shake your tree. But before you do that, I just want to share with you a couple of my positive affirmations, because affirmations are huge. Why? Because they recondition the mind. Your toxic thinking is a product of you dwelling habitually, obsessively on the negative things that have gone wrong in your life. So how do you confront that? How do you change that? You have to recondition your mind to think more positive and productive. So I say, you know what? I embody virtue and exemplify noble character in every aspect of my life, and God is making me great. I'm faithful, trustworthy, and God is taking me to a land that He will show me. This is part of my pastor's message the other day. I'm a woman who brings reverence, doing good and not harm to all those connected to me and to all those I encounter. I'm a woman of strength with a stellar work ethic, working wholeheartedly unto God and a track record of greatness and excellence. I'm a woman of endurance, and everything I touch does prosper, and God is blessing me. And those are just a few. But when I feel down, when I'm having a low self day, when things aren't going ideally the way that I would like for them to go, I remind myself of all of the good that I do have. I remind myself of how blessed I truly am. I remind myself that I am making a difference. How do I know that? Why do I know that? Because my clients tell me, because my family and friends remind me, because my husband and my children remind me that I'm adding value to them. And part of how I continue to add value to them is by making sure that I'm breathing life-giving energy into them and not debilitating them with life-sucking behavior, such as toxic thinking. I want you to take it a step further, and I want you to identify times in your life when your negative thinking adversely affected your physical well-being, right? I had a guest on my podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I was treading kind of lightly. He was talking about a debilitating condition that he encountered a couple of years ago. And in my head, my clinical brain, I was thinking, I wonder what role his thought life played in that disease coming in, infiltrating, and for a period of time taking over his body. And I didn't go there just out of respect because, he was a guest on my show. I don't know him personally and I didn't want to offend. But what I appreciated so much about him was he circled back and he addressed the fact that he knew, first and foremost, that I was treading respectfully and lightly. But what he had shared was he had gone through a difficult business transaction, and the people that he was doing business with had got in his head. And he was in a very, very negative headspace for quite a period of time. And he believed that that negative headspace that he was in created, if you will, an opening in the door of his body that created space for the illness to come in. That concept, that ideology, is why you'll hear people say that stress is a silent killer. Because you're taking on all of this pressure, all of this pressure, all of this pressure, and your mind is bombarded. You're worried, you're anxious, you're stressed out, you're frustrated, you don't know whether you're coming or going. Everything is getting on your last nerve at the same time. Your capacity is hit. You don't know whether you're coming or going. You feel like your head is about to pop off. And then you realize, darn it, I'm constipated. Darn it, I have bubble guts. I can't sleep. I have migraines. You know what? My stomach just hurts all the time. My back aches. You have all of these physical things going on. Did the thought ever cross your mind that your thought life is a contributing factor to your physical ailments? I'll prove it to you. You may know this and some of you may not, that everything is created twice. Dr. Pitts, what the heck are you talking about? I'm so glad you asked because I'm going to tell you. I'm going to use this example because this candle has physical form. It's tangible. We can touch it. But before this candle became this little 3-ounce jar of vanilla candle, it was a thought. Somebody thought it. That was its first creation. Its formation, its manifestation, its coming to fruition was its second creation. And that's exactly what happens to us in our physical body when our thought life is not cleansed, when our thought life is not pure, when our thought life is overtaken with toxicity. Is that you? This is what I want you to do. I want you to give yourself permission to identify as many limiting beliefs that you can think of that you're holding on to. It may be something like, I didn't go to college, so I don't have what it takes to make, good money. I've never been married, so I'm never gonna have any kids. I I didn't come from a good family, so this state of my life is as good as it gets. I was never the smart one in class, so you know I can't have an intelligent conversation. I've always been really, 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 really shy. So, there's no way that I could ever be the keynote speaker at a public speaking engagement, even though I'm really passionate about some things and have some really powerful ideas and opinions about how to get resolved with some things that are bothering people. I want to challenge you to identify your limiting beliefs, and then I want to challenge you to go one step further. And I want you to identify an opposite supporting belief that's going to be instrumental in helping you to confront all that toxic thinking that you have going on. Well, Dr. Pitts, what do you mean by a supporting belief? Here's one. I may not have gone to college, but I have a wealth of real life experience that can be instrumental in helping me to be successful. Um, I may not be at childbearing years any longer, and I desperately wanted to have kids, but I can adopt a child. I can be a big brother or a big sister because the big brother, big sister programs still exist all over the country, and there are children who need the support and the guidance. I could adopt a teenager. There's such a need for teenagers to be adopted in this country now that there are campaigns all over media trying to get these children loving, stable, healthy homes. Um, you know what? All I've ever made is minimum wage. So how am I ever gonna be able to buy a home? You know what? I heard that there's programs through HUD and through Habitat for Humanity and through other community initiatives that are designed to help individuals who are low income to educate themselves about the necessary steps that they can take to be a first time home buyer. Um, I've never owned a new car, and I'm tired of taking the bus, but you know what? Nobody in my family ever owned a new car. So, you know, I'm just going to keep taking the bus, even though it takes me 2.5 hours to get to my minimum wage job. You know what? I heard that the unemployment office will pay for people to go to school and get additional certifications and on the job training so that they can be a greater asset to an employer and get themselves in a position where they can make a decent livable wage and educate themselves to be able to buy a car, a house, or anything else that they want. You know what? So, you know, drug addiction and alcohol abuse runs in my family. Oh my goodness. You know what? I drink because I'm destined to be an alcoholic and a drug addict anyway. So, I mean, why even try? You can actually be anything you put your mind to be. You just have to shake your tree of life and surround yourself with people and enter environments that add value to you and don't support you staying stuck in the discomfort of your so called comfort zone. You get the gist? You first have to identify what the limiting beliefs are that are holding you back from being the best, strongest, healthiest version of yourself that you can be. And then you have to search and find the supporting beliefs. And you may have to solicit help from people in your life that aren't toxic, that aren't negative. You may just need to turn into these lives every week to see what value Dr. Pitts is going to add to you week after week after week. You may need to go see a therapist so that they can help you to work through all of your personal deficiencies so that you can get out of your own way and actually learn how to live a life that you can honestly say that you love living. It's very possible. You just have to decide if you're going to do it. The reality of it is, and I got this the other day, I read it, and I like the term, so I'm going to reference it, that your mind is the bull's eye. And what was stated in this document that I read was no matter how long you walk in faith, You'll never get to the place where negative, discouraging thoughts don't come. You'll never recover your health, never pay off your house, never see the relationship restored. The enemy's main tools are deception and lies, and your mind is the bullseye of his target. If he can control your thinking, he can control your life. You can't stop negative thoughts from coming, but you don't have to keep thinking about them. And I wanted to share that with you because, as you can imagine, in this line of work that I'm in, I encounter a lot of people that have a severe case of the Dr. Pitts, I can't help it. And what I say is, you can help it. What would happen if the same amount of time and energy that you put into being toxic and a pessimist, what would happen if you took that same fire, that same grit, that same determination, that same intensity that you have when you're ready to lay hands on the person in Walmart because they butted in front of you in line? If you took that same energy and harnessed it and refused to give up on you, you refuse to allow your past, your situations, your circumstances to define you or to define your thought life. I dare you to try it. Will it be a little scary? But I'm telling you, there's so much more to life that you can experience and that can fulfill you and be so instrumental in you being able to live life in a way that you can say you actually love living it, if you would just try. Try to acknowledge and confront the role that your thought life is playing in the overall condition of your life, your relationships, your finances, your physical health, your job, everything. If you stay toxic in your thought life, you are going to see the evidence of it literally in every aspect of your life. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can be free. You can break out of the toxic thinking and all of the negativity, all of the adversity, all of the heartache and pain and suffering and struggling that comes with it. You can. You just have to decide if you will. It's up to you. Does anybody have any questions for me? Because I'm here. I am here to help you to stop being so toxic. I am here to be instrumental in you getting free, in you being a stronger, healthier, freer version of yourself, perhaps, than you have ever been in your life. I want that for you. But it won't matter if you don't want it for yourself. You deserve it. You deserve to be free. Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of hurting? Aren't you tired of being angry? Aren't you tired of being the victim? Aren't you tired of feeling like everybody's wronging you? Aren't you tired of feeling like you can't trust anybody? Aren't you tired of feeling alone? Aren't you tired of feeling like this is as good as it gets? Aren't you tired? You don't have to be tired no more. All you got to do is take the first step. And the first step is deciding that you're going to do something about the cesspool that is in your mind. First step. You know what, Dr. Pitts? Hi, my name is Buffquita, and I'm a toxic thinker. Acknowledge your junk. And stop walking around acting like you okay with being mean, hateful, and nasty. That is clinically what we call a maladaptive coping skill. You just as mean and hateful and nasty as you want to be. All that is your pain talking. All that is your mind telling you that that person don't deserve to be forgiven. That's all that is. I'm here to tell you, if nobody else ever has, you deserve to be free. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve to be stronger and better and happier and more fulfilled than you ever have in your life. Isn't it time? It's 2024, people. 2024. 2024. Underline, bold print, italicized with explanation points. Or are you going to get to December 31st, 2024 and realize that 2024 looked exactly like 2023? And the reason why is because you didn't do anything different. You are the common denominator in every aspect of your life. What you gonna do about it? The choice is yours. And that's what I'm gonna leave you with tonight. The choice is yours. Do something different. On purpose and intentionally. Start cleansing and purging your mind. Because you're worth it. That's all I got. See y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a good night. See ya.